Welcome into episode number 110 of The Voice Behind the Voice. I'm Sean Aronson, the TV and radio broadcaster for the St. Paul Saints, an independent minor league baseball team in the Twin Cities. Well, we are about 4.5 weeks now from getting started of the 2018 season. This starts to become my favorite time of the year, is also my most stressful, which we've talked about in previous opens. But today, officially, my intern, or my assistant, started for the season, so a lot for him to look forward to this year, and I'm sure he doesn't know what he's getting himself into just quite yet, although he did work in affiliated baseball last year, so he at least has that under his belt, but he wants to take the next step in his career, and so hoping to provide that over the next 4 months. But our manager, Judd Sirott, got into town today, and it always feels like the first day back to summer camp. Like you go away to sleepaway camp or summer camp and you go back to school, and then the very next year you go back to camp and you see all your camp friends. This is what it starts to feel like now as everyone kind of trickles in to the ballpark. Our manager gets in today. Players start to arrive next week. Our pitching coach and hitting coach will be here next Thursday when we hold the open tryouts. So it all starts coming together, and you get that feel that baseball is right around the corner. While there's still a ton of stuff to do, we're getting closer and closer. One personal note, if you will. So I've told you about this time last year. It was right when the season started that I officially bought a home. But it was about this time last year, I think, that I'd finally won the bidding war, if you will, for the house that I have right now. And over the course of the past 11, 12 months, you start to make changes to the house. You paint, you do things like that, of which we've talked about before. When it comes to being handy, I am the least handy person around. As I am talking to you right now, there are people at my house installing new countertops. I will have kitchen cabinets resurfaced, refaced in June. But last night, because I didn't want to pay someone $600 to basically unhook the plumbing to my kitchen sink, I did that on my own last night, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't quite the adventure I thought it was going to be. The hardest part, and this sounds ridiculous, it really does, the hardest part, honestly, was turning off the hot water valve because it would not budge, and my biggest fear was I was going to turn it too hard, and the knob would come off, and then water would start to spray out. Like, that was my biggest fear when all was said and done. But I got everything done without any issues. When they're done today, I'll have to go back and reattach everything. But seriously, they wanted to charge $600 for a plumber to come in and do what took me 35 minutes, probably take most people 10 minutes, but probably took me 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and then to reinstall it. $600! I am in the wrong line of work if someone is getting $600 for what probably would have taken them at most 30 minutes to uninstall and then reinstall it afterwards. Definitely the wrong line of work, but things coming along on that side, and so you try to get all that stuff out of the way before the season starts, but like I said, cabinets won't be ready until the month of June. So information that you probably didn't care about, but information that I get to share because this is my podcast. So there you go. Speaking of, let's get to episode number 110. It is Judd Sirott of the Boston Bruins. Judd and I met at the hotel where the visiting team stays at. And by now, you've probably heard me mention, I don't ever like to mention the hotel because if there are local people listening, I don't want like a bunch of people to flock to these hotels. I think that they deserve some sort of privacy, although it's not that hard to find out. But Judd was very kind. I mean, this might be one of the longest interviews that I've done. I think this one clocks in at just over an hour and 20 minutes. And Judd was very, very thorough with his answers and sharing a lot of information. He's got a great story about writing Doc Emrick when he was a kid about some just, trying to get advice, how to get into the business, how to make himself better, and how Doc basically wrote him back and said, you know what, you have a lot of questions. Here's my phone number. Why don't you give me a call? Which sums up Doc Emrick as best as possible. Just one of the nicest guys that you will ever meet. But you're going to love this with Judd and some of the stories that he has to tell. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast, you can do so on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Again, be sure to rate us. You can find us on social media, Twitter @TheVoiceBTV, on Facebook, facebook.com/thevoicebtv, and you can always email me, thevoicebtv@gmail.com. All right, let's get to it. Episode number 110. It is Judd Sirott of the Boston Bruins. JW, roll the open.
So Doc wrote me back. He's like, listen, I think, I can see by your letter you have a lot of questions.
Yep.
Why don't you call me?
Yep.
We'll pick out a time, and we'll go over everything that you have. I'm like, awesome. So I think the running out in the street was when I got the letter.
Yep.
I think my mom was like, hey, you got a letter. You got to see this. And whether it was that letter. And listen, I remember seeing, when Pat wrote me back, to see just the logo and the address of the old Chicago Stadium. I mean, this was like gold.